What if I told you that the real health crisis isn't vitamin D toxicity, but vitamin D deficiency, and that you've been taught to fear the wrong thing? For decades, people have been warned, be careful with vitamin D. Too much is dangerous. It can harm your kidneys. But here's what almost no one explains. Vitamin D isn't just a vitamin. It acts like a hormone, and it controls far more than your bones. It influences your immune system, your inflammation levels, your mood, your cellular repair, even how your body defends itself against infections. Yet mainstream conversations still treat it like a simple bone nutrient. That's the misunderstanding. Today, I'm going to break down why vitamin D has been misrepresented, what actually causes the widespread immune weakness we're seeing today, and how correcting this root issue may be one of the most powerful health decisions you can make. And once you understand the mechanism, you'll never look at vitamin D the same way again. Here's the problem. Most discussions about vitamin D completely miss the root cause. We've been conditioned to think about vitamin D as a simple nutrient for bones. If your levels are low, you might get weaker bones. If they're high, you might risk calcium problems. That's the simplified narrative. But that narrative is decades old and dangerously incomplete. The medical system traditionally focused on vitamin D's role in preventing rickets and supporting calcium absorption. That's it. So the conversation became, how much do you need to protect your bones? Not, how much do you need for optimal immune regulation, inflammation control, and cellular signaling? Those are two very different questions. And here's where the misunderstanding begins. Vitamin D doesn't just float around as a passive vitamin. Once activated in the body, it behaves like a steroid hormone. It binds to vitamin D receptors, and those receptors exist in nearly every tissue in your body, including immune cells. But conventional recommendations were built around bone health thresholds, not immune optimization. So millions of people today technically fall within normal lab ranges, yet remain functionally deficient at the immune level. That's the root cause. It's not that people are sick because they lack medications. It's not because they need more antibiotics. It's not because they're genetically doomed. In many cases, their immune system is underperforming because one of its key regulatory hormones, vitamin D, is insufficient. And what makes it worse is the fear of toxicity. Yes, extremely high doses over long periods can be harmful. But toxicity is rare and usually involves massive supplementation far beyond physiological needs. Meanwhile, deficiency is widespread globally. So we created a culture that fears excess while ignoring deficiency. And when your vitamin D levels are chronically low, your immune system becomes dysregulated. It may overreact, leading to inflammation and autoimmunity. Or it may underreact, increasing susceptibility to infections. The real issue isn't, is vitamin D dangerous? The real question is, are we maintaining levels that allow our immune system to function the way biology designed it to? Because when you address that root cause, everything downstream begins to change. Now let's simplify what's actually happening inside your body. When sunlight hits your skin, it triggers the production of a precursor molecule. That molecule travels to your liver, where it's converted into 25-hydroxyvitamin D, the form doctors measure in blood tests. But that's still not the active form. From there, it moves to the kidneys and also to immune cells themselves, where it's converted into calcitriol, the active hormone form. And this is where things get interesting. Calcitriol doesn't act like a typical vitamin. It enters cells and binds to something called the vitamin D receptor, a receptor found in immune cells, bone cells, brain cells, muscle cells, even cardiovascular tissue. Think of it like a key entering a lock. Once it binds to that receptor, it goes directly into the cell nucleus and influences gene expression. In other words, it can turn genes on or off. That means vitamin D is not just supporting one process, it's regulating entire systems. In the immune system specifically, vitamin D plays two critical roles. First, it enhances innate immunity. your immediate defense system. It stimulates the production of antimicrobial peptides, natural substances your body uses to neutralize pathogens quickly. Second, it regulates adaptive immunity, the part responsible for long-term immune memory and antibody production. And here's the balance. Vitamin D helps prevent immune overreaction. Without adequate vitamin D, your immune system can become dysregulated. It may produce excessive inflammatory cytokines, chemical messengers that, when uncontrolled, contribute to chronic inflammation. So low vitamin D doesn't just mean weaker immunity. It can also mean chaotic immunity. Now let's talk about the bone misconception. Yes, vitamin D increases calcium absorption in the gut. But here's what most people don't understand. Calcium metabolism and immune regulation operate through different activation pathways. Your body has local control systems. Immune cells can activate vitamin D independently for immune modulation, separate from calcium regulation. So when people say vitamin D is just about calcium, that's biologically inaccurate. It's more accurate to say vitamin D is a master regulator hormone with multiple branches of influence. And this is why simply looking at the minimum level required to prevent rickets doesn't tell us what's optimal for immune resilience. The deeper truth is this: if the hormone that regulates immune balance, inflammation control, and cellular communication is insufficient, the entire system becomes less stable. And stability is what determines whether you stay resilient or become vulnerable. So now the real question becomes, what can you actually do about it? Understanding the mechanism is powerful, but action is what changes biology. Here's exactly where I recommend you start. Number 1, optimize safe sun exposure. Your body was designed to produce vitamin D from sunlight. Short, consistent exposure to midday sun without sunscreen for a limited time can stimulate natural production. The exact duration depends on your skin tone, location, and season, but the key is regularity, not extreme sunbathing. 10 to 20 minutes of smart exposure several times per week is often more beneficial than rare, prolonged exposure. Remember, this is about signaling your biology, not burning your skin. Number 2, measure, don't guess. Most people supplement blindly. That's a mistake. Ask your doctor to measure your 25-hydroxy vitamin D levels. This gives you a baseline. The goal is not just to avoid deficiency, but to reach a level that supports immune balance, not merely bone survival. Data removes fear and replaces it with strategy. Number 3, support activation pathways. Vitamin D doesn't work alone. Magnesium is required for its activation and metabolism. Without adequate magnesium, vitamin D may not function optimally. Also, vitamin K2 helps regulate calcium distribution, ensuring it goes into bones rather than soft tissues. Nutrition works as a system, not as isolated pills. Number 4, reduce chronic inflammation drivers. Even optimal vitamin D levels struggle to compensate for constant inflammatory triggers. Prioritize whole foods over ultra-processed foods, adequate protein intake, omega-3 fatty acids, quality sleep, resistance training. These lower baseline inflammation and improve immune responsiveness. Number 5, consider strategic supplementation. If sunlight exposure is limited, due to geography, lifestyle, or season, supplementation may become necessary. But the key word is strategic. This means appropriate dosing, consistency, and monitoring. Not megadosing out of fear. Not underdosing out of misinformation. The goal isn't excess. The goal is physiological optimization. When you combine smart sunlight, testing, nutritional support, inflammation control, and intelligent supplementation, you address the root mechanism, not just the symptom. And that's how you build real immune resilience. A lot of people ask me, if sunlight isn't enough and I want something reliable, what supplement would you personally choose? Here's what I tell them. If the root issue is immune regulation at the hormonal and cellular level, then you need more than just a random low-dose vitamin D pill from the supermarket. You need something designed to work with your immune system, not just sit in your cabinet. That's why I often recommend Nuvialab Immune. It's not just vitamin D. It's a synergistic formula combining a high dose of vitamin D with zinc, elderberry extract, rosehip extract, Japanese pearl flower extract, yeast extract, and rutin. 7 carefully selected natural ingredients that support immune defense, regeneration, energy, and overall resilience. This isn't about boosting your immune system aggressively. It's about restoring balance, strengthening your body's natural defense mechanisms, and helping you feel more energetic and mentally sharp. If you're serious about correcting the root cause and supporting your immune system properly, this is a smart place to start. You can find the link to get this high-quality supplement right below in the video description. Now, here's something important. Vitamin D doesn't just influence your immune system. It also plays a major role in mood regulation, hormonal balance, and even metabolic health. So if you found this discussion eye-opening, the next logical step is understanding how vitamin D impacts your energy levels and long-term disease risk. Và nếu bạn chưa xem video của tôi về chronic inflammation and immune overreaction, tôi đã đặt video đó ở ngay đây. Hãy xem nó. That video connects everything we talked about today, and it may completely change how you view your immune health.